What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning into the Local Crown podcast, where we're going to teach you how to wage war on your competition and earn your local crown, also known as the top spot on Google. Awesome, man. So you made a video a while back where you covered an Eminem song trying to get Gary Vee's attention. How did that idea come into conception? How did y'all land on covering that song and everything?
So, dude, I'm a huge Eminem fan since he came out with Hi, My Name Is. And then once I was a fan, I went back and listened to all this stuff. I mean, literally, I've been on his playlist since he dropped his new album, since he dropped his new album, it hasn't left my playlist. So, but he's so for me, it's he has such command of the English language. He is such a, to me, he's the elite rapper, right? He's the cunning linguist, I guess. He's just got it. He's on lock, right? So I always like to look for people who are stewards of their craft, and that's what he is in that space. So for me, the same way with Gary Vee, right? Gary Vee's giving so much valuable content out in the Twitter sphere, right? In the whole internet space. He's helping entrepreneurs realize who they are as individuals. He's helping people reflect on what's really important. The happiness is really important. And he's doing it on a regular basis because he wants to be helpful. So I have these two elite superstar people, and then who I look up to on different paces. And I was like, you know what, let's just put these two things together, and let's see if maybe I do a good job on this. Maybe I'll grab Gary Vee's attention, or at least get a thumbs up that, hey, that was pretty cool, whatever it was. And so, I've been doing a couple parodies here and there for some other show sponsors. It's kind of like a thank you very much for being a show sponsor. Let me have fun and show you some appreciation. I read it up for them. And so, I did that for Gary Vee, and I haven't gotten Gary Vee's attention, but it's cool. It's still fun anyways. I did it for fun anyway. So.
Absolutely. So you're cooking something up called the power of podcasting. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, dude. So power podcasting is pretty basic. Every entrepreneur right now needs to understand that they need to have a social presence. Just hands down. If you don't have a social presence, you pretty much don't exist. It's also having a good social presence is also one of the best ways to create a referral-based business, because you can either be a business that is constantly looking for the next lead and is either buying leads or really working to get leads, or you can understand that the foundation of a true strong business is a referral network that brings you business, people that actually know, like, and trust you and want to work with you. And I am a big believer, because it's worked for me and getting referral business for real estate, getting referral business for insurance, that if you have a brand and if you bring value and if you post constant content on your social media feeds, you're going to establish that foundation. And I think that podcasting is the best way to do that, because I can sit and talk to a potential prospect, somebody I want to get to know and work with. I can have them come on my show, give them something of value, which is content for their social media feeds. And because I've given so much to them, they're going to either want to work with me, A, or B, feel so good about having this content that I provided for them that they're going to want to send me referral business anyways, right? And it allows me to establish some deep roots with people that I normally never would have gotten in contact with. And so I could take a 30-minute show that I have an interview with them, chop it up, and now I have content pieces for YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. I have all kinds of different content. I'm putting out things on a regular basis, and it's basically like anything else. If I told you, we are farmers, what would you go? What would you say? If I said we are farmers,
dun, dun, dun,
you know what that is?
dun, dun.
Yeah, exactly, right? Or Allstate.
I don't know the Allstate one. Oh, yeah, here's deep voice. Allstate.
Yeah, he goes, are you in good hands?
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
All right, do you know the Arby's one? Arby's. We have the meats. You don't know.
On TV. I don't see many commercials.
All right, so fair enough. Well, my point was most people will recognize brands because they get stuck in their face all the time, right? Because the way marketing would work traditionally is you had a TV show and you'd get interrupted. You have it today. You watch kids that watch YouTube stuff. My kids know all those ads because those brands aren't constantly marketing on the shows that they're watching. They're halting their view. They're stopping and interrupting their view with this particular brand. The brand gets embedded because you see it over and over again. It's the same thing with social media content. If you have a following, you don't necessarily have to have a podcast and be the next Joe Rogan in podcasting. You don't need millions of followers to be successful. What you need to be is the person they think of when they think of real estate. So if they think of real estate, I want them thinking of me. If they think of insurance, I want them thinking of me. Whatever it is in your field, you need to be a thought leader in that field, and you need to be a thought leader within that circle of influence. And whatever that is to you, is it 1,000 people? If you have 1,000 raving fans, 1,000 people in your circle that are willing to buy from you, that are willing to get your next product or service. Let's say you sell something for $10 a month, 1,000 people, $10 a month, that's 10 grand a month. That's a very good living. But it takes effort for you to put a brand in front of them that they know, like, and trust, that they see on a regular basis, that they know who you are. And that takes a consistent amount of content. And the problem is most people don't know how to create content, but a podcast can do that for you. Just an interview-based content like we're doing right now. I mean, we have a bunch of nuggets that we can chop up on this 30-minute segment that we could repurpose over and over again. We could put it on YouTube. We could turn it into, transcribe it, turn it into a blog. We can take a 60-second clip and put it on Instagram. Like, the capability is there. And the more pieces of content you put out there, the more people are going to see you, the more they're going to recognize you. So we're teaching people how to do that in the power of podcasting.
Absolutely, man. Actually, 100% of my marketing comes from my podcast. I take my episodes, I cut them down into my social media content, and I'm good. Like, all I really think about is making content on my personal Facebook profile from there. So
that's it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
What's the biggest thing you wish you would have known when you had started podcasting, man?
Biggest thing I wish I would have known, honestly, was the developing my email marketing list. So the power of having a database of people that have already done business with you or have taken at least that extra step to give you their contact info, that is huge. You should, I spent, a year, almost a year and a half in podcasting without ever having a call to action, without getting people to give me their email list, without having them go to a website, without doing anything, growing a Facebook group, nothing, just podcasting for podcasting's sake. Like, if somebody would have told me to look at this as a business marketing tool rather than developing a podcast just to have a podcast, because that's what they did, right? Gary Vee's like, you got to have a podcast. And, my real estate coach was like, you got to have a podcast. But they didn't really tell me what it was for. They just said, you have a podcast, referrals are going to come in. Well, there's a process to that, right? There's a system that you need to have in place to drive somebody who's listening to your show to become somebody who takes action on listening to your show, who becomes somebody who's on your email list, who becomes somebody that can potentially buy from you. There's a process to getting people across the plane. It's like holding their hand. You got to just kind of help them along. So if I would have had somebody to help me take my podcast, not only create, help me with what kind of equipment do I need? What the hell is an RSS feed? All these different little things to answer those questions. And then how do I promote this thing? Like, what should I be doing to treat it like a movie? Like, if a movie's going to come out, there's always previews to the movie. I should have probably done something like that. Yeah. And then once I launch it, how do I create visibility? How do I get, more people to come and see and more people to see my brand? How do I do that? And then how do I make money on this thing? Like, the only thing I ever heard for podcasting was, you got to get sponsors. That's not the only way to make money in podcasting. There's a ton of different ways to make money. And so that's the 4 things that we cover in our 4-week program. So we take your podcast development, we do your podcast promotion, we talk about podcast launch and visibility, and we talk about podcast monetization in 4-week period to help you get through all 4 steps.
Beautiful, man. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something. If you have questions, email us at info@thelocalcrown.com. And if you want to get featured in our publication, Inside the Empire, alongside John Lee Dumas, the entrepreneur on fire, Jayson Waller, the CEO of Power Home Solar, Sharon Lechter, Dan Caldwell, the man that started Tap Out, and the limitless man himself, Jim Kwik, for free, then head over to thelocalcrown.com/become a contributor.